Hello and welcome to the fourth ever Scout Trio podcast. Today we have Sean, Blake, and myself, Zach, here with you. Sean actually just got back from his trip from Europe. Sean, how was it?
Great trip in Europe. Missed some baseball, but glad to be back on the Scout Trio podcast and ready to go.
Love to hear it. So today we're going to discuss my trip to the college national team, some of my favorite hitters from the class that I saw, some of my favorite pitchers, and overall just recap what I saw and how the overall class looks for this upcoming draft. So hope you listen along and enjoy.
So, Zach, before we jump into the college national team and your trip to North Carolina, let's recap the College World Series.
What a series it was. Great performance by both teams, Arkansas and Oregon State. But Blake and I made predictions on our last podcast. I predicted Oregon State to win in 3 games. Blake predicted Arkansas to win in 3 games. And turns out I was right. Right, Blake?
Yes, you were, unfortunately.
So we were actually a missed pop-up away from neither of our predictions being correct. It looked like Arkansas for the longest time was going to win in 2 games, but it was a missed pop-up and some late inning heroics by Oregon State that propelled them to win Game 2, and then a great pitching performance by Kevin Abel of Oregon State to win Game 3, and turned out I was correct.
So now let's actually jump into the college national team. So, Zach, overall, how do you feel the 2019 college class is going to be after seeing the college national team?
Great question, Blake. So what I saw in North Carolina was very hitter-heavy. I believe that 7 or 8 of my top players on my pref list for next year are going to be hitters. Starting at the top of the list, and we'll jump into a little bit more later, will be Adley Rutschman, the catcher from Oregon State. And then working our way down, there's a shortstop from UNLV. There's a first baseman from Cal. There's a catcher from Baylor. There's a lot of players on that list that I believe will eventually become first-rounders in this upcoming draft, all of which I predict can have impact performance both at the college level this upcoming year and at the pro level in following years. And then we'll touch on the pitchers a little bit later. At the same time, the top pitchers on our list are actually turned out to be left-handed. There's a scarcity within all baseball of left-handed pitchers, and some of the top pitchers on our list are going to be left-handed. But our next few questions will touch upon our favorite hitters and our top favorite pitchers of the class.
Okay, Zach, I guess you just touched upon it a little bit, but let's dive a little bit more into it. Who were your favorite hitters from the college national team, starting from the top?
So starting from the top, my favorite hitter on that team would be Adley Rutschman, the catcher from Oregon State. I actually saw Rutschman in high school. He was the catcher for a high school team out just outside of Portland, Oregon. There, I didn't really see much of a field to catch and didn't see much field to hit, so I actually ended up writing him up as a pitcher. He threw 94 off the mound, and oops, I was wrong on that one. So moving forward to what I saw from Rutschman both this spring and then moving into what I saw from him limited size-wise with the college national team, he does everything well. Behind the plate, the footwork is extremely better. The hands work better. The arm's about the same, but he's always had, like I said, I wrote him up as a pitcher, threw 94 off the mound. He's always had a plus arm. But the footwork turned into be about a 6. The hands turned into be about a 6. He projects out for me personally to be at least 6th defender behind the plate, maybe even a 7 if he continues to progress along the pathway for there. He's a switch hitter at the plate. Swing does work a little bit better from the left-hand side than the right-hand side presently, but at the same time, from left-hand side, he stays steady in his base. The hips fire extremely well. The hands work well incorporated into the present load. I mean, there's just so much to like. I saw him barrel up balls in all 4 quadrants of the strike zone. He hits for power to his pull side. He'll show oppo power when he leaves the barrel in the strike zone for a very long time. I mean, there's just so much to like there. He projects out to be a middle-of-the-order bat from a premium position, which is extremely hard to find. For me personally, there's a very hard time for me seeing him being not a top 3 pick in the draft. So he might not be 1-1 because there's a very good high school player who I've yet to see, Bobby Witt Jr. from Texas, who I haven't seen yet. But at the same time, I think that Rutschman's going to be a top three pick in the draft overall. When we work our way a little bit farther down the list, some of our next favorite players were Andrew Vaughn, the first baseman from Cal, Shea Leierhans, the catcher from Baylor, Josh Jung, the third baseman from Texas Tech, Dominic Fletcher, the outfielder from Arkansas. So I feel very comfortable with those 5 players being our top 5 players on our pref list. They just turn out to be our top 5 hitters as well. So when we move down to Vaughn, he has a hit and a power tool that's rare. You could put it up with the class that we touched upon a little bit later in our draft podcast, and you can read on our reports. You can he's in that class with the Michael Confortos, the Nick Madrigals, with the Keston Hiras that I've seen in the past, hit, tool, and power-wise, where I think there's a very, very good chance that it's at least a 6 hit and a 6 power tool. So when we dive a little more into Vaughn, where we get into the stereotypes, he's a right college first baseman. How many right college first basemen have been productive in the big leagues in recent memory? Only, honestly, one come to mind, as in Paul Goldschmidt, who was an 8th round pick by the Diamondbacks. But it's a very small sample size of productive right college first basemen. So with my prediction of Vaughn being at the top of our pref list, we're hoping to right that stigma, or whatever you want to call it, for right college first basemen to be productive big leaguers, because Vaughn has one of the most pretty swings I've seen in a very long time, and he just does a lot of things well offensively, and he's athletic defensively. He's got flexible hips. He has strong hands. He can be at least an average, if not a strong average defender at first base, in my opinion. So there's a lot to like there. When we move to Leierhans, the catcher from Baylor, similar to Rutschman, does a lot of things well defensively. The feet work well. He has soft hands receiving wise. He's got at least strong average arm, if not plus arm. And then the plate, it's a very balanced, strong approach to and through the point of contact. I've seen him keep close and barrel up balls the opposite way. I've seen him pull balls for strength, for doubles in the gap. I mean, he just does so many things well offensively. As we touched upon with Rutschman, he's coming with a strong offensive profile from a premium defensive position that makes him, honestly, in my opinion, probably a top 10, if not top 15 pick. I don't like him as much as Rutschman. I think Rutschman has a little bit more athleticism than Leierhans does. But at the same time, both of those catchers are premium position defenders who have some offensive tool set. So those come by very scarcely. Similar to Joey Bart going second in the draft to the Giants this past year, I think that Leierhans and Rutschman have a chance to go at least in the top 15 in this upcoming year's draft, if not higher. When we work our way a little bit farther down, Josh Jung, third baseman from Texas Tech. For his size, I've seen very few players move that way. He's extremely athletic. He could even be a plus defender at third base, in my opinion. He has the lateral quickness in his feet. He has the soft hands. He has the baseball IQ to get the right routes. I mean, he does a lot of things extremely well. At the same time, he has a 6 arm. So there's a ton to like there defensively, but even at the plate, I mean, he's going to hit for power to his pull side. He's going to learn to stay in himself and hit for power his opposite way as well. What he needs to get better with is a little bit more consistency in his lower half. His lower half doesn't work always in sync with his upper half. The hands and the wrists and just everything with the upper half really work within the swing. But at the same time, with his lower half, it comes a little bit more inconsistent. He'll get on his front side a little early and just leak. And there will be some swing and miss there, but at the same time, there's so many raw tools there at the plate that you're projecting a potential at least average hit tool, average power-wise, with the defense at third base. With the body, I mean, he's that type of athlete that you're like, wow, that guy can move a little bit, and even with the body type and body size he has. So our last top 5 player would be Dominic Fletcher. center fielder from Arkansas who's playing right field for the college national team. So Fletcher is a SoCal kid, went to Cypress High School. His brother just got called up to the big leagues. David Fletcher went to Loyola Marymount a couple weeks ago. I wrote up David coming out of college as a third, borderline fourth round pick. He ended up going sixth round to the Angels. At this point in time, Fletcher's tearing up in the short sample size in the big leagues, so I think that's a very, very good pick by the Angels in the sixth round. Nevertheless, his brother, I think, is honestly more tooled up than David was. I think he's going to hit for more power. I like the raw tools to play a little bit better. And in center field, I think he can be a 55 type defender out there. He gets very good reads. He's an above-average runner. He has a 55, not 60 arm out there. He's a little bit undersized, similar to his brother was, but at the same time, there's so many tools there offensively and defensively from a premium position, as we touched upon with Langerhans and Rutschman earlier from the catching position. Fletcher, I project out as a center fielder at the next level, where there's just too many tools for me to see him not as a borderline first-round pick in the future, and like him quite a bit. So those were my favorite hitters from this college national team.
Okay, Zach, that was great. Now let's switch over to the pitching side. You mentioned some lefties and maybe a SoCal righty. Let's hear about him.
Sean wants to touch on the SoCal righty because he played with him in college, but we'll get to that a little bit later. So let's start at the top of the list pitching-wise. Our top pitcher on our pref list will end up being Graham Stinson. He's a left-hand pitcher from Duke. So Stinson pitched a lot in relief this past year, and honestly, that's probably the role I project him at the next level. But at the same time, what he has from the left-hand side is extremely rare, and I have seen it from very few guys, if ever. So he has a 92, 95 mile an hour fastball with a 7. Honestly, if you might want to call a few of his pitches an 8 slider, you probably could. I know a few other people have called his slider an 8 in the past. I'm not quite there yet, but at the same time, it's at least 2+ pitches from the left-hand side with some angle. He keeps his front shoulder closed for a very long time. It's hard for hitters to pick it up out of the hand. The slider played very well off the fastball. So when he's throwing his fastball 1995, it's very good angle. At the same time, when he throws the slider, it plays well, dropping late, and it plays well, and he buries it well, and gets swings and misses, even when he throws it in the dirt, because of the tunnel it plays off of from the fastball. So that's the top left-handed pitcher on our list. Moving next to Matt Croonan. Croonan was part of the college national team. He was a University of Arkansas pitcher. So I actually saw Croonan in the spring. I saw him down in San Diego when Arkansas came to town. That's where we saw Blaine Knight and a bunch of the other top players on the Arkansas team that we touched upon in our last podcast. So with Croonan, when I saw him in the spring, he threw 4 innings. It was devastating. It was a plus breaking ball, and it was 90-94 from the left-hand side with some angle and some plane that made the pitch play up, that he got some swinging misses with the fastball. For me, it's a similar Stinson, not the same level. It's a 2-pitch power reliever that both of his pitches project out to be plus. Similar to Stinson, I saw Croonan be able to throw strikes in short stints. Stinson was able to do the same thing. Both their command control wavered as they progressed longer in their outings. But at the same time, there are 2 plus pitch left-handed pitchers that I think can pitch to the back end of bullpens. So when we move forward into guys that might have a chance to start, I won't say that they fully will be starters at the next level, because what we saw at the college national team, a lot of these guys are throwing 1, 2, 3. I don't believe a guy even threw 4 innings during my time in North Carolina. So it's very hard to me put a percentage and say, hey, this guy has an 80% chance to be a starter. Hey, this guy has an 80% chance to be a reliever. Because you'll see a lot of these top pitchers be trotted out as starters, at least as juniors, at the college level. So it's very hard to determine what they have a chance to be. But 2 guys that I think have at least a chance to start would be Zach Thompson, a left-hand pitcher from University of Kentucky, and then Cody Bradford, a left-hand pitcher from Baylor. So Thompson will rank higher than Bradford. Bradford will move a little bit back further to the pack. We're just talking about left-hand pitchers here. So with Thompson, he worked early with 99.2, really concealed well with two at least average, if not strong average offerings with the breaking ball and changeup. He threw strikes. I mean, it's a tough angle with tough planes. He's a strong build. I think he was 6'4", 6'5". So there's a lot to like there. With Bradford, there's a little bit more projection. He can sprint and breaking ball a little bit. He'll throw with a little bit of velo. He's a really good pitchability guy with some consistent projection there. So there's a lot to like there. So let's move into the right-handed pitchers. We'll touch upon the pitcher from Southern California that Sean played with, Andre Pallante. He is a right-handed pitcher from University of California, Irvine. So when I saw Pallante in the spring, he matched up with another Team USA pitcher, Kenyon Yovan from University of Oregon. So with Pallante, when I saw him in the spring, he was 89.92, but had two breaking balls that really worked for him that were at least average offerings, if not strong average. I believe his slider flashed plus for me. At the college national team, the velo is much better, and the breaking balls were just as consistent. He, for me, will continue to be a B40-50 type pitcher, where I think his future will end up being in the bullpen at the highest level, at the pro level. But at the same time, there's a ton to like there. He gets very high with his front side. The breaking balls play really well off the fastball. At the college national team, the fastball was 92, 94, touch 95. The slider flash plus, the curveball flash plus. Both were at least average offerings, if not strong average, consistently for him working there. So there was a ton to like there. Yovan looked really, really well. Velo, similar to Pallante, was a little bit better. When I saw Yovan in the spring, he was 88.91 with Team USA. He was a lot more 92.94 with really good running life on the fastball. So overall, it is left-hander heavy. There might be a lot of, honestly, relievers in this class, and a lot more of the starter types might take a little bit more projection-wise, and it might be a little bit lighter on the pitching side, but at the same time, you never know. There's a few guys I saw in the spring, Nick Lodolo, left-hand pitcher from TCU, and a few other guys that I see a potential chance to start at the next level, that there might be an innings cap or something like that why they weren't on the college national team. So there's a ton to like there from the pitching side still, and we still got 11 months to go till the 2019 draft. So there's a long ways away. For right now, Stinson and Croonan will be the top two pitchers on our pref list that you'll see coming up on the website later. And it's a very hitter-heavy class, but there's a ton to like from the college national team. So wrapping it up here, I hope you enjoyed our information on the college national team. I was at the Brewers SoCal area code tryouts yesterday in Santa Barbara. I will be there once again at USC next Saturday for the Brewers area code tryouts once again. We'll have some news and notes coming up on Twitter as well as on our website about those events, who we like the best, things like that. A lot of our picture videos from the college national team are already up on YouTube, so go check those out. We'll have some reports following coming up in the next few days and weeks. I typically like to do all the reports at one time once I have them all written up. But at the same time, we'll have a lot more information coming up on Twitter, on YouTube, and on our website as well. So we hope you follow along and hope you enjoyed. This was the 4th Ever Scout Trio podcast, signing off.